try to do something a bit different. One, we'll try to discuss about the mistakes, some of the ones that we have made ourselves, some that we see commonly people doing. And with Bob's vast knowledge, as back in the day, I would go to him and ask, okay, I did this.
We talked about overwatering and the problems could lead from using the wrong soil. A lot of soils out in the market, some are good, some are not so good. You really want to choose what soil.
All the soil which has been used over here is not naturally the soil from our region. That is very important to understand.
Also, we want to be concerned with the heat when you're planting.
One other mistake, which I personally don't find as a mistake, and Bob and I differ.
Mainly paying attention in the garden, which is not a hard thing to do. It's a great place to be. Relax out there, take your time, enjoy your time out there.
Hello, universes. We would like to go back and let's be friends together. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our channel, my friend Bob. Again, we have the privilege of Bob with us today. We'll try to do something a bit different. One, we'll try to discuss about the mistakes, some of the ones that we have made ourselves, some that we see commonly people doing. And with Bob's vast knowledge, as back in the day, I would go to him and ask, okay, I did this, what should be done? Then in the same process, you know that we are trying to experiment with having a garden in Punjab, Pakistan also. We'll try to visit certain mistakes that gardeners make. But that said, do remember, depending on your environment, your temperatures, and where you live, it makes a lot of a difference. So as we are teaming up with Bob to discuss these, we will also show you how the garden in Punjab, Pakistan is going, and you'll have first-hand knowledge.
One of the biggest areas we see where people make mistakes will concern watering. And it's mostly overwatering. It could be underwatering. Underwatering, we did a study last year at a park over in Elizabeth where they had set up a water system. The plants, they had done a big planting and a lot of the plants were dying out. And the watering system was set up wrong, so any water was running off. It wasn't set up properly. So it could be underwatering, but 99% of the time we deal with overwatering. One good way to check, always take your knuckle, put it down an inch or so in the soil. See if it's damp underneath. Outside, especially if you have plants outside, a lot of time you'll have soil on top that looks and appears dry. You get down into that soil, put your finger down in there. It could be wet, it could be soggy, and that's a problem. You're going to get into root rot, and once plants get root rot, they get into a cycle. A lot of people see plants starting to wilt down. They think it needs more water, put more water on. It's like throwing gasoline on a fire. So check that before you water.
So before we go to the second mistake, let's go to Punjab, Pakistan and see what they see, like how does watering work out there.
हमने पानी तो दिन में 2 मरतबा लगाते रहे हैं, लेकिन इसमें हुआ ये कि इसकी मतलब दर्जा हरारत ज़्यादा होने की वजह से पानी जो है वो जल्दी खुश्क हो जाता है, ज़मीन नमी नहीं रखती, इसलिए ये पौधे ख़राब हुए।
We talked about overwatering and the problems could lead from using the wrong soil. A lot of soils out in the market, some are good, some are not so good. You really want to choose what soil. You want something that drains out well usually for most plants. If you're using something like water plants in a pond, you might have a heavier clay soil that you use. But for the majority of it, you want a good soil, loose, organic matter. Again, you got to be very careful with some of the bag soils. A lot of people are very happy using a bulk soil if you could get it and make your own soil using compost, things like that, drainage. That's the key. Now, some people prefer using a bag soil. Some people have to because they don't have the soil to deal with bulk. Some people don't like using bag soil.
And I used to use bag soil. Today I have a difficulty. One, it has become too expensive. Two, some of the ingredients, what they put in those soils, in those bags, are non-organic. So I'm not too happy about it. And with the soils, let's discuss one other thing. With our own raised gardens, all the soil which has been used over here is not naturally the soil from our region. That is very important to understand. Even in my huge back garden, which is on the ground, number of years of soil which was bought from stores, typically farm stores, and compost that I make has been added. So in that way, I'm lucky. Let's go back to Pakistan and see they have to use naturally the soil they have, how they're dealing with it.
हमने जो सी है खाद वो ऑर्गेनिक डाली है, लेकिन वो ज़्यादा डाल दी है। ये हमने गोबर वाली खाद डाली है, वो मतलब गली नहीं है, जिसकी वजह से ये ख़राब हुई है, हमें मसला बना है।
So again, what dirt is a good dirt? The word is wrong, but many people use it. A pro tip, match the soil type to the plant species that you're growing. A cactus will need a different kind of soil compared to carrots, compared to tomatoes. So that has to match properly. But if you're doing journal vegetables, you can just look at the pH balance and don't buy something very heavy and use it.
Another big area we see is in planting. A lot of times you want to know what you're putting out and the requirements it needs. If you put out something and it's getting much too much sunlight, you're going to end up with a burnt plant. It's not going to be happy. Even the wrong time of planting. If you plant out too early, you could get wind, things like that are going to damage that plant. So too much sunlight, again, it's almost like too much water, too much of a good thing. So know your plant, know its requirements, and sort of help it along. Don't put it out, plant 3 o'clock in the afternoon when you have to deal with the high heat. Try to do it maybe early evening, early morning.
Now, you can also use sunlight tracking apps, which is a good way of doing it, but just general knowledge of your area where you live, and you have lived there long enough, you would know. As I mentioned earlier, growing in the Northeast, where summers don't get to 120, 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Same thing in Punjab, Pakistan, you get those temperatures. So putting a shade on would work to protect them from extra sunlight. In our case, there was a time that we would get over 100 degrees. For the last quite a few summers, it's not happening. So again, depending on your area, what's the thickness, what's the kind of cloth you need to use, and we'll discuss that, because in our experiment, we're learning that in Pakistan, we have lost a lot of seedlings. And the reason was very simple. We had a lot of sun. So no, sun is good, but too much sun does not work out always.
Also, we want to be concerned with the heat when you're planting. You know, if you put plants out and it's much too hot, definitely not a good thing. If it's 95, 100 degrees one day and it's going to cool down the next couple days, wait a few days. You don't have to get things set by a calendar date. You really have to read your weather and your temperature, your existing conditions before you put your stuff into the ground.
So let's go to Pakistan again and see what we learned over there.
इधर गर्मी ज़्यादा हो गई, तो ज़्यादा बेलें जो सी गर्मी की वजह से बेलें ज़्यादा ग्रोथ नहीं मतलब की, तो इसकी वजह से ये बेलें जली हैं और मतलब के बीज ख़राब हुए हमारे। हमने छांव पे रखे हुए हैं, इनको आगे ज़मीन में नहीं शिफ्ट किया, क्योंकि इधर गर्मी ज़्यादा है तो ये ख़राब ना हो जाए, इसलिए हम इनको छांव पे रखा हुआ है, इनको शिफ्ट नहीं किया।
One other mistake which I personally don't find as a mistake, and Bob and I differ, is planting plants closer to each other. I'll give you my theory, then we'll ask Bob that what his point of view is on that. In my own planting years, what I've learned is, and I'm not successful each time, so I have to be very honest, but with certain plants, especially lettuces and things to that nature, when you grow them closer, they do compete for that sunlight. And lettuces for us are done in spring, where we have a bit of scarcity of sun. It works very well. But your opinion is totally different from mine.
I really do differ with that. I feel you want to give the plants more room. It's going to allow more light to get in there. You can get in there and pick a little bit easier. You can see the soil underneath and see if it needs amending or more watering, things like that. So if you give that spacing out, you're going to have less pest problems. And that gets to another problem that we have seen too. People don't notice the pest problems that they usually have. And we'd like to talk about that.
So let's go to Pakistan again and talk about a crowded planting and the way they deal with pests. And after we come back, we will pick Bob's brain on how to control pests.
ये करते हैं कि जौन सा इंसानों को बालों में लगाने वाला जुए मार शैम्पू होता है ना, वो हम पानी में डाल के उसका स्प्रे कर देते हैं। या इसका होता है कि नीम का तेल डाल के नीम का उसकी स्प्रे कर दें, वो भी ठीक रहता है।
Well, again, if you can get in there and you can see the plants a little bit better with a little bit more spacing, you want to look for insect damage. You want to look for yellowing leaves. Is it natural or is it a problem coming? Again, by getting in there and looking at the plant a little bit closer, you get a better idea. Look under the leaves. Look for spotting on the leaves. Look for broken branches, anything like that that may be a problem starting to arise. A lot easier to help that problem or cure that problem when it's starting out. You can't bring back a dead plant.
Again, difference in opinion between people using chemicals or using organic.
It really all depends on the situation. I'm not a big one on using chemicals. A lot of times you can get in with insects, tomato hornworm, things like that, you could hand pick off. Better air circulation sometimes. You get like whitefly and basil. Get better air circulation, you're going to get rid of that whitefly. So you don't always have to turn to a chemical solution. And if you run into a problem, please contact us if you have a specific situation, and we might be able to suggest something that you use rather than a chemical.
Many people talk about neem oil, that it's one of those wonder organic solution, which I don't think it is. I'm not against it, but it does not solve all the problems. So when it comes to organic, when Bob had the farm, he used to sell certain things. Bob, you know, talk more about it.
Well, I agree with the neem. I never had good results with it. Now, neem, I can remember when it first came out, they would take neem oil and they would paint it onto a rose leaf, I believe it was. And you could see where Japanese beetle or caterpillars would eat everything on that leaf except where it said neem. I never had that good results with it. You can't hurt it. It is an organic farm. Neem is from a plant seed, I believe, the neem oil, the neem tree.
Neem is a tree.
So it's definitely
it has
organic. There's other organics you can use. Pyrethrin is very effective, made from chrysanthemum flowers. Diatomaceous earth works by getting in. It's very sharp. There's a number of different organic things which you could find just by looking. A lot of times, again, just by hand picking and taking a closer look, you can cut these pests off way ahead of the time.
But you also used to sell some insects yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Another good way to do it, there's usually you can find available either online or if you have a good farm supply store, garden supply store, may have ladybugs, which work. Praying mantis, we used to sell the egg cases for praying mantis. They're a lot of fun for the kids. I would get kids would come in weekly and get ladybugs to release. They're fun to keep in the garden, and they do work.
So learning from your mistakes, something I'm extremely bad about. Again, living in a region where you have 4 seasons, you are excited about that late spring and early and midsummer. But then when you add early spring, which is still cold, the whole cold season, and half of the fall, you have less of growing time than time where you sit and think about these things. So when I'm making mistakes, there have been times that I'll write those mistakes down to use next year. But by the time next year comes, I'm just too excited. And many times I've repeated the same mistakes. What's your experience about it?
I agree 100%. Guilty as charged. I always, I'm worst one for probably overcrowding plants and putting too much in a spot. I have been guilty of planting too early or at the wrong time, but especially when with the farm, we had to get things in at a certain time and we couldn't wait much longer. So don't feel bad. A journal's a great way to keep things in mind. Write your mistakes down. The problem is, and I'll concur with you, where I'm out in the field, I'm not going to go back and check that. I'll say, well, I think I did it this way. So if you can do it, a journal's a great way. And it's very fulfilling anyway. You look back and see what you've done. It's mainly paying attention in the garden, which is not a hard thing to do. It's a great place to be. Relax out there, take your time, and enjoy your time out there.
Now, just so you know, even with decades of experience between Bob and I, if somebody asks all those mistakes we have talked about, which of these mistakes have you made? I would say all of them. And not just one time, multiple times. How do you find a solution for it? I don't think I've found a solution. In my own case, as I said, I'll remember to do something different next year, but then I keep on making the same mistakes. So why not you write in the comments that if you have found solutions that come handy for you. I cannot preach it to you because it'll be preaching to the choir, and that'll be just a lie.
We'd love to hear any of your solutions and any of your problems, and we'd be glad to help with any way we can. So thank you very much for watching us.
Watch our other videos also. We have talked about these things in multiple videos about seeds, other tips, how to take care of certain things. We just wanted to make this video just to remind you that there is enough content on our channel that if you just go and search it, you can find it, and that hopefully can help you. Before I say goodbye, Bob, you have any closing arguments?
No arguments. I'm happy with everything, and I'm happy you all came to watch us. We're in for a bit of bad weather here, so it's nice to get inside and enjoy. And thank you for sharing your time with us.
Thank you very much. Keep on watching our channel, my friend Bob. Again, like and subscribe. Write in the comment so we can build this community that we've been trying. You might have seen on our channel that this year we are giving away free seedlings. Anybody who lives close by to Union County in New Jersey, you're more than welcome. We'd like you to grow a garden this summer. We will try to encourage. So if you are somewhere in the New Jersey, Union County area, we have grown enough seedlings of different kinds of plants, some vegetables, some flowers that we are giving away. Send me a private message and I'll tell you how to get them. There are no strings attached. All we need from you would be to grow a garden and share those pictures with us. Thank you so much. We'll see you again.